Okay, so as an introduction, I want to thank all the people that attend to this event. And so the things we want to do today is really to talk about your initiatives. And the best way to talk about your initiatives, we don't know probably each other, is to sharing experience from our customers and our partners. So that it will be really, the global things will be about that. We're gonna take 20 minutes per presentation. You can ask question on the chat, and we can share the question with the presenter at the end of the session. And if it takes a little time, we can or answer by written, or at the end of the event, we're gonna pass through all the questions. We want to be the more interactive possible, so you can ask questions and we will ask you questions too at the end of the sessions or the group of the session. And as was saying Phil, the session will be recorded. So the thing is, what today you will see or hear is about our customer and our partner. So you will see La Banque Postale, asset management, that will speak about what they are doing on the sustainable finance part, which is ESG and SRI. We're going to see Ebcont partner presenting with La Vaudoise, which is an insurance in Switzerland, what they are doing for the master data management to be able to ingest data from operational systems and be able to have golden record to consuming it in other operational systems. We will have our partner Sopra Steria that will speak about Airbus and what is a BOM, a bill of material from the design part of a plane until its delivery. Airbus will be present to speak about the HR systems that they have built. We're going to have our partner Datavid that will speak about Syngenta, about what they have done on what I call a clever search engine. I think they will do better than me, but how they are doing some research with this application. And we will have Alstom speaking about his competitivity platform and what they are doing on their data. So basically, what you're going to see from our customers is that they have some sources, they use it, they index it, they search the discovery, they project it inside their model, their own model, to be consumed after for different type of application using the same data but in a different context to deliver their use case. The things that will be shared too is basically the reason why the customer needs to consume complex data. So to create new products more quickly, to have a production that is more efficient, to decrease their costs, to better serve their customers. And of course, if I was saying that it's not to create new product quickly or to produce more efficiently, it will be strange. But the things that they will share too is what is the consequence of consuming complex data to achieve this type of result. So what does mean the consequence of consolidating data and reconciliating data? What does it mean in terms of security model and data lineage? Why they want to use their own model to fit their business model and not the operational system model that is fine for the operation, but not when you are using the data in another context. And basically how they have done their transformation journey. So the agenda will start with Airbus on the bill of material, 20 minutes after Alstom and their competitivity platform, Syngenta with the semantic search platform, La Banque Postale with the ESG project, SRI project, La Vaudoise with the MDM, Airbus with the HR part, and I will speak at the end about what is MarkLogic today, where we go, very quickly, and we will end the session. So I'm very proud and happy to welcome Youssoufa Diop, the CTO airline from Sopra Steria, and Olivier Lemoine from Sopra Steria to speak about the X-BOM project. It's up to you. can we unmute Youssoufa and Olivier?
Okay.
Hello, Olivier.
Hello, do you hear me?
We see you and we hear you. I will shut down my video to not eat your bandwidth.
You see my screen?
Yes.
Can you hear me as well?
Yes, Youssoufa, we hear you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Maybe you can start, Olivier. Up to you. First slide, please. So my name is Youssoufa Diop. I'm, as mentioned by Stéphane, I'm the CTO of Aeroline. Aeroline is a Sopra Steria, a vertical market dedicated to aerospace. And we are working for different customers. I just mentioned a few of them: Airbus, Dassault Aviation, Thales, and Safran. And we are leading some projects for those customers. Olivier?
My name is Olivier Lemoine. I've been working at Sopra Steria for almost 18 years, where I manage or participate in projects in the data and analytic domain. I lead the Ebcont project on the associated development team for Sopra Steria. I'm also in charge of the relationship with MarkLogic for the vertical airline.
Thank you, Olivier. Next slide, please. So we will deep dive quickly in this presentation in 3 steps. First thing will be the Airbus X-bomb application, and we'll make some definition about bomb, what is a bomb, and what is the global context of this project, and have a quick overview of what is X-bomb for Airbus and what MarkLogic is providing for Airbus in terms of technology, but not also in terms of business and so on. So we will have 3 steps in this presentation. Second step will be the functional overview, and Olivier will deep dive into the project aspect and what is the return of experience on X-bomb project itself. Thank you, Olivier. So first thing, yeah, it's quite obvious for sure. BOM is stand for bill of material, and here in our context, what is a BOM? We take a very simple example here with a bicycle. It's just some things that you already know. Is a list down of materials, parts, and also sub-assemblies for sure, and components in a global words that compose a global product, that build a products. So and what is really this is really, I would say, simple. But what is behind, we can have different point of view when we speak about BOM. When we speak about BOM, we can have a point of view from sales, from engineering, from manufacturing, for each and every department inside the company. So, and all those views should be, I would say, combined to have a global overview of what is the BOM and what we can use in terms of data related to the bill of material inside an enterprise. Next slide, please. So what was Airbus in terms of BOM, the stakes and challenges? So as I mentioned, the bicycle is quite simple, but an aircraft is more complex than that. We can see in the lower part of this slide, the components that is part of A380, for example, which is the biggest aircraft built by Airbus. More than 4 million parts. It's quite big. And also, it's quite complex because we have a multiple definition or multiple components. And even we could find that the components is the same between 2 aircraft, but this in the real world, it is really not the case. Each customer could choose its own customization. For example, for the cabin is quite obvious, but inside, but some other components, part of the aircraft are quite similar, but not really similar 100%. So this is really, really important. We deal with a huge volume of data, a huge volume of BOM again. And also, this bill of material is, as mentioned in the previous slide, is a collection of data coming from different departments. So at that time, when we started to think about how we can have a global overview in terms of BOM, in terms of data related to the BOM, we had some issue regarding the silos we have in a company like Airbus. We have the engineering department for sure, the manufacturing, they have to speak all together about the same data, but in the different view, in different context, and this is clearly not the same thing. So we need to tackle those data silos and to exploit the value behind the data, and to provide to Airbus some things that could help in terms of different usage, in terms of BOM exposition for different services. So it's involve all the departments from Airbus. You can see procurement, finance, customer service, from all the life cycle of the aircraft, from the design, from the beginning to the scrapping at the end, and the retirement of the aircraft itself. So this is really huge in terms of data collection, in terms of data segregation as well, in terms of security, in terms of time to aggregate, to collect, and to put all those things together to be sure that we can address all those stakes at Airbus. And also it's reached a level of complexity. As I mentioned, there are millions of parts on each and every aircraft, and each and every aircraft are different from each other. So this is really something we need to tackle. And then just after this stake and challenge slides, Airbus starts to think about some things that they call a platform, X-BOM for multiple BOM. We will see just afterwards why X-BOM. But they think about a platform to use, to have a global overview, a 360 degrees overview of the bill of material data inside Airbus, but also from the beginning, from each and every department inside the company itself, but also extended at the end to the supply chain and to the partners they have when they build an aircraft. And I think about a way to have some things, a central place where all those data is collected, harmonized, a single point of truth. So they started to think about a platform, a global platform, with a bill of material at the heart of this platform, and providing different view of the same data to different departments, finance, again, procurement, program, and so on. So this is really a comprehensive and holistic view of bill of material inside the company, and per MSN. So MSN stands here for material serial number. In Airbus, MSN is just the number assigned to each aircraft when the building or the manufacturing process starts. Each and every aircraft is assigned to MSN. So, and here I would say units is the MSN inside the platform, this platform, and we have all the data related to bill of material per MSN. This is huge, and we will see just afterward as well what it could be, what it could represent in terms of data. Next slide, please. So the project itself is oriented as a platform, as mentioned previously, and we will have to serve customers, different customers inside the company. So we will have to serve different use cases. And this is really interesting because we have a central point of data, I would say a kind of single point of truth, as I mentioned, where a finance department could gather and collect data from different other departments, add its own data on top of the bill of material, for example, the price, and make their own analytics and so on. Engineering department as well, they can compare, for example, two bill of materials to decide what will be the best solution, for example, for a customer, and what is the best answering about an offer they have to provide to an airline, for example, in terms of we say range and so on, and assembling different elements or different components of the aircraft to provide the best offer to the airlines, procurement department, and so on. And for example, from now we have two live use cases, which is the digital costing. So we extract all the BOM data coming from different departments, again, different application, different information system, all into MarkLogic database. And though we have a specific treatment, and Olivier will come back on that, that helps to harmonize, to give this 360-degree view about the data. So digital costing is one use case already live. and also IMCube, which is another use case we developed for Airbus. IMCube is just one project that helps to improve or to know what will be the best usage of a raw material. I can take, for example, the Titan sheet, and we have to cut inside the Titan sheet different parts, and this IMCube application need the BOM to know where to place the part on the sheets to improve the usage of the material and to avoid scrapping and so on. So that's really interesting, and that's really important for Airbus to avoid scrapping and so on, and to be sure that they will have a best usage of their Titan sheet, because this is something that costs a lot, and they cannot have a lot of scrapping about this Titan sheet. This is one example we already have put in place, and this use case is using the bill of material data from that MarkLogic database, and that helps to design to be sure that we will have this kind of improvement at the end. And we have other use case in the pipeline for sure to develop in the futures. Yeah. Next slide, please. Just to give you a quick functional overview, we stand for XBOM. So X because we are multiple BOM, again, a multiple view of the same data, I would say. If I take the beginning of the life cycle of the aircraft, starting by the design department, we are dealing with engineering BOM, EBOM, and this is the way that the engineer from the start of the design, their way of designing the complete aircraft. So they design parts, components, sub-assemblies, and so on. And the department is designing this bill of material from an engineering point of view. So and they have the complete details regarding the content of this aircraft. We also have inside some other data that completes, I would say, the engineering point of view, which is the manufacturing engineering. It is the BOM, the bill of material of the aircraft, but the way the Airbus is planned to build this aircraft. So engineering is at the design phase, the EBOM is at the design phase, and then manufacturing engineering BOM is the plan they have when they start the build process. It contains also other data. It completes the engineering view, and it completes also data helpful for the manufacturing department and specific to the manufacturing department, and because they have to deal for example, for tooling, and tooling is not part of the engineering part, but on the manufacturing engineering, and we have a complete BOM related to the tooling or the jig or whatever they have to add to be sure that they will be build the aircraft in a solid way. So we are dealing for the time being with those two BOM, engineering and manufacturing EBOM, and we will enrich in the futures when we follow the life cycle of the aircraft, what we call the as delivered BOM. So at the end of the build process, at the end of the manufacturing process, we will have the bill of material of the aircraft as he get outside the final assembly line. This is completely different because the plan, which is the manufacturing engineering BOM, is some things at the beginning of the process, but in the way forward during the manufacturing process itself, for example, some blue collar can take another parts from one aircraft and to put it in an aircraft that was not planned. So we need to deliver really what is getting outside the final assembly line. So this is called the as delivered bill of material. And also at the end, we'll also want to have information from in-service bill of material. And when Airbus is delivering the aircraft to the airlines, to the final clients, at the start of the usage of the aircraft by the airlines, for sure the BOM is the as delivered BOM, but in the life cycle of the aircraft and the usage of the aircraft by the airlines, they can make some change, and we need to know, and Airbus need to know how this change is impacting the BOM, and we need to know exactly what is the in-service BOM. So we need to gather and collect information coming from outside Airbus, coming from customer, and put it inside the bill of material. Then we will have a complete vision for sure for the per MSN, per aircraft, about the BOM. Next slide, please. And just to highlight what is a BOM and how much it's complex, I mentioned that we have more than, for example, for the big one, for the 4-engine aircraft, the A380, we have more than 4 million parts, components inside one aircraft. And this is an hierarchical tree where we have the top component assembly, CA stands for component assembly, and we have sub-component assembly, and so on. And we can deep dive 32 levels in terms of complexity. Then if you take a BOM, we can have up to 32 levels, and going down up to the raw material, for example. So I mentioned the Titan, and we can have the Titan here in the BOM, in the complete BOM. And the way we manage it, it's really different because we can, as I mentioned, each and every aircraft is different. And we need to know how each and every aircraft is composed in terms of BOM. So we need one notion, one concept here called effectivity. And this is already managed inside the database. And we know, for example, for this component, for this part, it's mounted on aircraft 1, aircraft 2, aircraft 3, but not on 4. And for example, the second one will have this effectivity and will have this component, but not the first one. So this information is really important to avoid to multiple the record inside the database. And we use all the technology inside MarkLogic to manage it really, really deeply, and to know and to avoid, again, a huge number of records inside the database. So just to highlight, in terms of volumetry, in terms at the top level, we have more than 6,000 JSON document inside the database, up to more than I would say 142 million document when we go through the pass, because we built inside the bill of material inside the database a way to go quickly from top to down without recomputing each and every time. So we calculate pass, and those pass is used to move down inside the effectivity inside the hierarchical, the trees, and to access quickly to the document and the information we need to extract from the database. So in total, we have more than 200 million doc inside the database today, and it's around, I would say, 14,000 aircraft managed inside the database, something like that. Yeah. Next slide, please. Up to you.
Thank you, Youssoufa. Now, a few words about the XBOM project. Our activities on this project are classic development activities that go from the requirements gathering phase, writing specifications, modeling the solution, developing the ingestion and harmonization flows, as well as developing the web interfaces. We use an agile method that makes Scrum on a Kanban methodology. From a technical point of view, the heart of the system is, of course, the MarkLogic database. We do development in Java for preprocessing. I'll come back later. And in JavaScript for MarkLogic harmonizations. The front end is developed in Angular and Node.js. As a scheduler, we use Argo, and all this infrastructure is containerized via Kubernetes. My team is composed of about 16 people spread over our sites in Toulouse and Orléans. The XBOM project started at Airbus in 2017. But the refactoring project with MarkLogic started in September 2020. We expect a first production launch in the coming weeks for the engineering BOM. Here is this simplified schema of the data chain. We receive our data from SAP platforms. Essentially, ECC and ANA, but also from the engineering data lake. More than 1 billion of records in flat file. We have a first step of preprocessing done in Java to deduplicate the received data and transform them into JSON files. We have more than 1 billion record input, and after the treatment, around 65 millions of JSON files. Then we ingest these JSON files into MarkLogic in the staging area via MLCP. Then all the harmonization flows are executed to finally feed the final database. And after that, a query is developed in Angular. Angular to allow user to navigate through the different BOMs. And we also have an export to the Airbus data lake for analytics activities. Data lake in Airbus is named Skywise and use dedicated technology. So I continue. I have 1 minute more. The main technical challenges that we have to face it's the huge volumetry, as Yusuf has said. We manipulated several tens of millions of occurrences. Due to that, we have to implement the preprocessing phases. The other challenge is the technical environment. We are on on-premise solution, but with Kubernetes, and that implies different constraints about RAM, about swap, and so on. As Yusuf has said, there is a lot of business rules to harmonize the data. So we have more than 50 flows to harmonize all the data, and it's very complex to keeping a global coherence on optimal performances for that. One of the another challenge is the complexity to work on today we are working on the complete volume of data. So it's complex because even in integration platform, the treatment time is very long. And more for the end user, NoSQL on MarkLogic database is a new skills, and this is not simple for all the end user who have the habit to use SQL on a relational database. So it is the lessons learned. Perhaps we have the time to some Q&A or not. I don't know, Stéphane.
Yes, thanks a lot, Youssoufa and Olivier. I think there is one question which is that is coming on how the BOM is helping to cost-cutting. Why the solution of the XBOM is helping to cost-cutting the cost, to do the cost-cutting. Sorry.
Yeah, I try to answer this question within the chat. So just for cost if we, in terms of cost, for example, they use the BOM, for example, to compare two BOMs for the same MSN, changing, for example, a part or components, or maybe, as I mentioned, that we go through at the end of the BOM, the raw material itself. So maybe, for example, making a design with composite or with titanium and so on. So they use it, for example, to compare BOM and to say okay, this complete BOM and this design costs, I would say 100, and this one is called 110. So they can compare, they can extract information. So this is also already done also at the procurement level, for example, choosing between two suppliers, for example, for the same components in terms of costs, for example, and so on. So also I mentioned that they use it, for example, to improve the usage of the titanium sheets. And this is some example they have today in terms of costing of the usage of the different BOM information they have in the central place. Yeah.
Thanks, Youssoufa. I'm the bad guy today. I need to do the timekeeping.
Sure.
So, but don't hesitate to ask more questions on the chat, and we will come back. We will come back to you. I'm going to share now my screen, and I'm going to welcome Camille from Alstom that will explain his product cost platform. Welcome and thanks to be with us. I'm very proud that you are with us, Camille.
Hello, hello everyone. I don't know if you can see me. I have some trouble with the.
We can see your presentation, but we don't see you.
Good question. How should I do that? Okay. I think I have some issues with my phone right now, but I mean, that's at least if you can hear me, that's good.
Yeah, we can hear you and we can see your presentation.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because Pierre is displaying it. Thank you, Pierre, for that. I'm having some trouble issues because Zoom is not compliant with my professional laptop. But okay, well, let's go on. So nice to meet you all, guys. I am Camille Aubin. I'm working within Alstom for more than 6 years now. I'm part of the Design to Cost team, so I will expose you just after what it looks like and what are the main objectives of this team. We've been working with MarkLogic since a few years now, about 2 or 3 years now, and we're happy with that. And just this quick presentation to explain you what we are doing with MarkLogic solutions and what we have put in place for this few years now. Okay, Pierre, if you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. So we'll go first of all to the context of the design to cost. You might be not familiar with it, so just explain you a little bit what it is and how we are standing inside the Alstom organization. And after that, we'll go through what we call internally the product cost platform, which is a design to cost tool that we are using internally. How we have been putting that in place thanks to MarkLogic support, and what are the functionalities that we are giving to the different customers that we have internally. Okay. So if we go to the next slide, just to maybe put into context what Alstom is all about. So if you can press 3 times, Pierre, on this one, that would make things easier. Thank you very much. So just one thing, I don't know if you are very familiar with the Alstom Transport. So Alstom is a key player inside the transportation sector. We are delivering to our customer mainly trains, so it can be urban, metro, mainline, locomotive, this kind of rolling stock. We are also delivering some components or signaling or infrastructure equipment, and we also provide to them some what we call customized services. So maintenance, for example, of trains, that could be one solution that we are offering, and also integrating urban system. So what we mean by that is a completely turnkey project. So one customer which wants to have a complete, let's say, metro system in place and doesn't have any rolling stock infrastructure, signaling system, this kind of thing. So we are delivering to them all of it in a single package, so they can operate the system with everything inside it. In terms of employees and let's say the world coverage, so we are around 70,000 employees today, thanks to the Bombardier merge that we had about 1 year ago. Now it was February 1st of 2021. So around 70,000 employees worldwide, covered in around 70 countries and in over 250 sites. So basically all around the world in every regions. So this is also one powerful things about so I put here the financial result of the last fiscal year 2021. We had about 14 billion euros of sales during the last fiscal year, around 74 billion of euro, and around 9 billion of order to come. So a lot of I mean, good product to produce, to deliver, lots of challenges. So we have also lots of challengers and lots of competitors all around the world. And this is one of the reasons why the design to cost team has been set up several years ago, about 6 or 7 years ago now, and is going through until now. So Pierre, if you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. And if you can press, I think 3 times also. Yeah, thank you. So just here to share with you one entity that is existing within Alstom today, which is called Design to Cost. So Design to Cost is the entity where I am belonging. This entity is belonging as well to what we call internally the operations and the project office. So we are very close to different entities inside Alstom, such as the engineering, the procurement, the platform, and the industrial people. With those different people, we are trying to collaborate with them to make sure that we are optimizing our solution, that we have competitive standard solution and catalogs in terms of product and systems. We are also trying to have this kind of cost awareness. This is how we call it internally. Try to sensitive them about cost and make sure that the cost is managed as a complete key requirement all along the design cycle, which is very important. It shouldn't be taken into consideration at the end of it, but all along. And we are also working with local design to cost team. This is how we call them. So in the headquarters of Alstom, we have a central design to cost team, which is the one I'm belonging. And we are working with local design to cost team, which are working on the different sites of Alstom organization. With those different teams, we are trying to develop the discipline of the design to cost. We are also working with them, trying to catch and gather all the requirements and all the need they have on the different project and platform they are working on, and trying to develop costing tools relating to that to make their life easier. And we are also supporting them on critical projects that they might have, depending on the criticality and the customer needs. Basically, what I try to put at the bottom of this slide is just to give you also an insight of what are the different roles, different profiles inside those teams. We have mechanical expert, electrical expert, also experts. We have expert also on train costs, which are all the people who will follow the cost, what we call track the cost all along the design cycle. And there is also a data team, which is the one I'm responsible of until the end of this month. Inside this team, we have built for several years now what we call the PCP. PCP stands for Product Cost Platform. And inside it, we are delivering several functionalities that we will see in the coming slides. So that was it for the design to cost context, just to put you, try to zoom in on the organization I'm belonging. And now we'll move on to what is the PCP, what is this process, and how we try to respond to the customer needs. Pierre, if you can move on to the next slide, please. Yes, thank you. If you can maybe press 3 times again, or 4 times now, 4 times. Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Pierre. No, thank you. So Product Cost Platform is a unique worldwide cost library inside Alstom. Inside this library, we are only taking into consideration the recurring cost of the different products. And we are putting inside it all the production costs of all the different projects that might be produced inside Alstom, all the train that has been produced inside Alstom for, let's say, the latest decades. The idea of this library is the ability first to compare the costs between different trains. So this different comparison, these different benchmarkings are made at different system level. For example, we can compare one seat of project A and another seat which looks similar technically on project B, and compare the different costs and understand what are the differences between the two, trying to go into the competitiveness inside it. So this is why this tool is serving first the cost competitiveness, as I'm just saying, but also the cost monitoring of the train. So we are not only dealing with what has been done so far, what has been produced, but we are also trying to simulate the cost of new trains to come based on what has been done so far inside the previous project. Thanks to this functionality, we are able to track the opportunities and the risk, not only during the project phase, but also before that, during the tender phase, which is a big gap and something that has never been done so far inside Alstom. We are also able to identify if there is some potential cost deviation much more in advance. So this is also something important, because then the action plan can be put in place much more in advance and proceed with that. We are also able to anticipate if there were some bid costing issues, bid costing gap, if some element were missing between what has been required by the customer and what has been really costed by the bid cost manager during the tender phase. So this is something also important to once again put in place an action plan before everything goes wrong. And last but not least, highlight what are the best in cost solution based on the benchmarking solution that we give that we provide to the end user. They are able, based on the cost, but also on the design of the part that they are analyzing, to identify what is the best solution. So to do all of that, we have worked with several entities inside Alstom. So engineering first, because this is where we belonged in the previous year. We have worked also with the industrial and manufacturing teams, and we have worked also with the procurement teams. all those teams help us to understand what was the relevant information to be taken inside the data source, what was the relevant bill of material to take, what was the different purchase order, and to make let's say filters inside it to have the relevant information that we were looking for, and also to have the time, not only the theoretical time that has been defined by the industrial team, but also what was the real time spent, and how we can how we can explain the gap between the two, for example. So all of that is the result of a huge work complete with those three entities. And then when we identify all those data sources, we work with MarkLogic team to see how we can use those data sources and how we can make sure that those data sources has been correctly transformed inside the right format and with the let's say the cost calculation that we have inside our entity, and how we can display all those data to the end user depending on the need, once again. So I'm not going through all the entire process that is in MarkLogic today, but just to say that we have different data transformation steps. We are pre-processing the data. We are correcting it a bit because in the data source it's not very cleaned. So we are trying to harmonize all those data. We are trying to segment it, make sure that we are comparing seats between seats at the end of the day and not seat with doors, for example, inside a train. We are making sure that all those data coming from different data sources are correctly matched between them. And then we exposed all those data to a BI solution that we are using today, which is ClickSense. And all those data is exposed, a little bit post-treat inside ClickSense, and directly displayed to the end users. Okay. So this is basically what has been done so far. This has been done for several years now. So all this process has been done in the first time all manually. So we were extracting data directly from the source manually. We are all the steps, all the post-treatment steps that we are having inside MarkLogic today has been first done manually inside big Excel files, and then exposed to Click the way it was at the beginning. But then we were facing lots of issues. We had issues with data volumetry, for example. We have some very critical issues on the data quality also on the source. So what we try to put in place is try to digitalize all this manual process that we had in the first place, use MarkLogic solutions and expertise to make sure that we had the best practice in terms of post-treating the data, and make sure that we are doing it correctly. And so have something, let's say, more professional to the needs that we had at that time. So it took time, but it's now live. We are able to extract from the different data sources all the information that we need, with an update that can happen every week. So it's a huge gap from what we had several years ago, and we are very, very happy with that. Pierre, if you can move on to the next slide, please, just to complete a little bit what I'm just saying. So thank you. Here, just to say that it's a little bit duplicate from what I'm just saying just before, but just to say that all of what we are dealing with today in terms of data treatment, etc., is supported today by MarkLogic. The first picture that you see on the top is what the dashboard looks like, what the monitoring dashboard looks like on our side, how we are using it, what is the list of train on the red square that we are having inside the database. On the blue square on the right, what are the different steps of the project, of the train that has been gone through so far, and what needs to be done left to reach the final step. And once the final step is fully done, then all the data is exposed to Qlik, and this is on the bottom left, a picture of what looks like, what looks like one screen of the PCP looks like, and how we are using it inside the tool. So this is basically what I wanted to share with you. Maybe just another slide, Pierre, if I may. I think it's the last one. Yes, thank you. Just in terms of functionalities, so I talked a little bit about this in the previous slide, but just to put here all the functionalities that we are delivering to our end user today. I talked about best-in-class design. I talked about cost database accessible everywhere. So this is something that you know a little bit. I've talked about as well the advanced benchmark. So this is something really important to us, and this is the key, let's say the key feature of this tool. We are also able with this tool and the simulation that we can make of a new train to simulate what we call the target cost. What should be the cost of production that we need to reach to make sure that we are on track and we don't have any risk or opportunities inside the project. So this is something really important for the project teams who are working on that, who are setting up this target and make sure that every month or every week, depending on the project monitoring, that they are on track and are following exactly the cost target. On the bottom, I've talked a little bit about this also, about what we call cost per unit simulation. This is basically simulating new trains on existing reference solution that we can have. We can, for example, select a door from a project A, a seat from a project B, an HVAC from a project C, etc., and have in front of each of them have the cost and the complete bill of material related to it, and try to simulate a bit with the new customer needs. So this is something really important, and users are using it quite a lot today. I've talked about a little bit action list, prioritization. So when we simulate the cost and we have the target cost, we are able to prioritize let's say the system on which we have opportunities or risk, and those systems will be the let's say top 5 or top 10 item on which we'll work and prioritize as a first thing to work on. So this is something important as well, to track which item, which system must be worked on as a priority. And we deliver as well the 3 items on the bottom right. First is electrical cost platform. We had, we are having lots of trouble to extract and to understand how electrical harnesses, physical harnesses, has been designed inside Alstom. So this is used by the train electrical métier and also the train cost engineer related to the electrical who are using it. So this is focusing only on the electrical scope. We have also developed a tool which is called Product Analysis Platform. Basically, here it's just to give first a picture of the diversity of parts that we can have on a train and see how we can standardize those parts. So, for example, if we have one reference that is using one time, can we try to use it somewhere else and design the part another way to be used in a much more bigger batch, let's say, inside the train. So this is something that we try to do as well, standardize the part. And also you can imagine that based on the experience we have. So I said that design to cost activities has been setting up about 6 or 7 years ago inside Alstom now. We had plenty of ideas of redesign, of optimization that might happen during those different years. And the ID cost platform is here to reference and to gather all those ideas into one place and, for example, reuse it in some new projects if those ideas can be applied to those different projects. So we are not losing time trying to find the right ideas or connect with the right co-workers. All those ideas are gathered inside one place. So this is something also really useful for the different design to cost member.
Thanks.
So yeah, thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Camille. I mean, we can hear your passion for the systems you have built. I think Alstom is very lucky to have you, and we are very lucky to have you too to share everything you have done. So we are a little bit on top of the time, but that's okay. We planned that, so that's no problem. If you have any question on the audience, please use the chat and we will answer it maybe during the break. And that will be okay. Or if Camille needs to leave, so we will drive the questions to the right contact.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, do not hesitate. Yes.
Thanks a lot, Camille.
Thank you all.
I'm gonna share now just to introduce Graham and Balvinder that will talk about what they have done in Syngenta. So thanks a lot to be there, Graham and Balvinder. And it's up to you. Go. I'll let you share your screen.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Stefan. And thanks for the chance just to be talking a little bit about this great piece of work that we had a chance to go through within Syngenta. Maybe just a tiny fragment of introduction. So I've got a history originally as a chemist working within research, crop protection research, moved into IT a while ago, and I've had a number of roles. I currently head up the content digitization team within crop protection, R&D, IT. Balvinder, I worked with you for a few years, but it'd be better for you to introduce yourself. I don't think I could do you justice.
Thanks, Graham. So I'm the founder of Datavid. Started Datavid in 2018. Before that, I was working for MarkLogic in the UK office as a principal consultant. Many years building. My background is open source, technical architecture, open source, and then for many years I've been using MarkLogic and building products on top of MarkLogic, as well as semantics now most recently, and always interested in solving data problems.
Brilliant. Thanks, Balvinder. So just diving then a little bit into what we're doing, but I suspect many of you won't have heard of Syngenta. So just a tiny bit about Syngenta. So essentially we work with farmers and growers around the world. So we're a leading science-based agri-tech company. The core mission through the different activities that we do is help farmers feed the world, but also help them address the challenges of climate change. So it's not just about more yield, it's about doing things better. It's about healthier soils, healthier crops, healthier people, and a healthier planet. Clearly, to do this, there's a significant research and development activity at the heart of it all. Whether that's the crop protection piece, so that's looking after crops and helping keeping them safe from different pests and diseases that might obliterate them, whether it's coming up with new seed varieties, or increasingly whether it's some of the digital work that goes on within the company. So here's a slightly more cartoony way of getting this across. So some of the crop protection work that we do is about innovating to get different solutions, many of them chemical solutions, to the farmers. The seeds innovation that's going on, all of that's a very traditional end of what we've been doing for decades, but always smarter and smarter each year. A couple of the newer areas are biological, so different, often plant extracts that will have the right sort of useful biological effect to help maybe manage a disease. And then things like different Internet of Things, drones for gathering data, precision application to apply things more carefully just where they're needed. All those take increasing amounts of data and applied in more complicated ways to support the innovation that R&D needs. So that's sort of broad brush what the company's about, but what are we trying to do? So if you think about what we must have in the company, it's many years worth of different projects, doing work, and then recording what they've done in reports, current scientists recording what they're doing in various forms, and then bodies outside the company sharing a bit of what they do. All this gives us lots of material that our scientists are trying to tap into, but it's spread across so many different locations that it's hard for them to do that. We've got research information that's tied away in all sorts of formats. So currently the scientists, if they do this, are spending many, many hours trying to find the information they need. But in some cases, the full challenge is in practice too hard to take on. So they'll only search in a few places for some information. And we've managed to sort of hone this down to sort of two main areas. One is, how do we dig back in time? What one of our colleagues called some digital archaeology. So how do we dig back and find reports from maybe 20 years ago that are relevant to a current research challenge? But also, how might a scientist look across the things that are going on right now, either internally or outside the company, to give useful, very relevant material to help guide a project towards a useful area or away from another one. Lots of this is in documents, so we've got a content searching text analytics challenge here. So the project that we've come up with, we've relatively recently branded Synapse, trying to encapsulate the idea of this being a sort of an application of AI and natural language processing to the more classical enterprise search challenge. So we ingest material, organize it, tag it according to our information patterns and our information models, and then use that to offer up a much richer way of scientists searching across these sources, these different resources. So this is something that we've built. We're not talking about something that we might do in the future. It's got some fairly straightforward things. It's a relatively intuitive search interface. It's got some fairly standard logical operators to support different ways of honing the question that you're trying to ask. We also try and make it as straightforward as possible for a scientist to query this. So if I just go back to that digital archaeology challenge. So as you dig back through time, the identifiers that we use for key things of interest are different. So when you've got a molecule, perhaps that a chemist has made early in research, we just end up giving it just a meaningless identifier, just a string of letters and numbers. But if that turns into the core of a project that might turn into a product that we formulate and market to farmers, it will end up with a trade name. And on the journey between a small thing in research and a big thing being sold on pallets to farmers, it'll go through a number of stages and end up with different identifiers. Any of those could be used in a report to refer to it. So if we treat all of those as synonyms and then tag our ingested documents using that little network of synonyms, then it lets me as a scientist use any one of them to find reports that refer to any of the other ones, trivially. So that use of little fragments of knowledge graph, of synonyms, of information models, and different ontologies and query concepts really helps support the searching that we're trying to do. And then we tie into a few fairly obvious things, but embedded documents. So many of our scientists have got the lovely habit of sometimes having a Word document that has an embedded Excel and an embedded PowerPoint, which might in turn have an embedded Excel or Word document because it was convenient at the time. So we have to be able to deal with that, and the system that Balvinder's helped create for us does just that. And then the ability to move things out of the system where needed, to tie into structured data sources as well where it's relevant. All a useful part of the material that we're trying to go through. Now, we're getting a bit more technical. I think this is a good point for me to hand over to Balvinder, and he'll talk you through the next few pieces.
Thanks, Graham. So as Graham was explaining, the users have over the years given different identifiers, and how you tag these identifiers from unstructured documents, which could be in Word format, PowerPoint, Excel, molecules, various different formats, going from legacy Word documents to the latest version of Office, which has evolved over the years. So we use natural language processing techniques to identify text tokens from the documents, and to do this, first we have to tag the various concepts and categories using existing knowledge base. So Syngenta already had what we call information model or instance data, which instance data contains all the different variations of a chemical substance, for example, what the molecule was called, what the trade name is now, and all the different variations. So for example, a chemical substance, right? It might have a name now and a trade name by which it is sold, but what are the different identifiers on how you identify the chemical substance, the CAS number, the SIN numbers, the formula of the chemical substance. So we use all those, we describe all those in ontology format, in RDF format. MarkLogic being a 3-in-1 solution, it's also a graph database, search engine, and an XML repository. We can model that RDF data, store it in the database, and then when a document arrives, we tag all this information in the documents, you extract it. And this is where we use entity extraction techniques. Now, there are two types of entity extraction techniques we use. One is model based, where you have a model which is already trained, so machine learning model, and it knows how to identify certain patterns and tag them as concepts. And the second type of entity extraction we do is ontology based, which is RDF driven. So we know Syngenta has its own knowledge graph and information about these chemical substance, for example, or crops or products, and we tag them. And the second time is identifying sections within a document or title of a document or who the author of the document is. So there's the named entity recognition as well. So it's an entity extraction techniques, but a mixture of lot of entity extraction techniques built together in microservices format, which allows to tag all these things, which then users can search using an advanced semantic search user interface. So Graham, if we go to the next slide. So this gives the solution on how Synapse has been built. What you see on the left-hand side are various repositories, external repositories, like we have PubMed and we have EPA, we have Federal Registry. So various different external repositories where regulatory documents are kept. And then there are internal repositories, which are SharePoint, Documentum, metadata repositories, Viva Vault, shared drives. So all the data, which is in as the format at the top says, it could be in Word, PDF, images, different formats. All these formats is something we support, and all these repositories, we had to build integration to, sometimes we're calling API, sometimes we are sort of scraping the web and getting all this data and information and documents and flowing it through and built an orchestration pipeline, a data flow orchestration engine or a pipeline, which extracts the text, converts it into a standard normalized format, and then we enrich that data, the entity extraction that we talked about. So it's a mix of data hub pattern as well as a microservices pattern, where there are lots of microservices which are being used to do various functions, and the data hub, because we collate so much data from various different repositories into a normalized standard format. And then entity extraction, as I already talked about, named entity recognition part and model rule-based extraction, as well as ontology-based extraction, and then some semantic disambiguation as well to make sure that what's the context of a particular word. So if something is brown or boxer, which is a product of Syngenta, as well as boxer as in somebody who does boxing. So how do you identify, given the context of the sentence, what boxer means in this case? So that's what semantic disambiguation. Once all this data is in the staging database, it goes through the various pipeline where it gets transformed into a normalized format. It gets all the entities are extracted and marked up. Then it reaches the final database of MarkLogic, on top of which we have built APIs, knowledge graph APIs, which allows us to do visualization, as well as search API to do searches. And this is where the multi-model capabilities of MarkLogic have been really helpful in putting all these different formats into one database and providing a richer search experience, semantic search experience to the users. And so this slide is a screenshot of the Synapse user interface. It's a search application. It's a semantic search application built using autocomplete, heavily using autocomplete. So when user starts typing in, the system tries to give autocomplete to say whether, oh, you typed in azoxystrobin, which is a chemical name. Oh, I know this is a chemical substance based on the ontologies that are stored in the system. And then user can do various filters, do and or not all the standard grammar that is supported, and do a search. And this gives you documents, as well as on the right hand side you see some faceting capability. It also gives some information card about the chemical. It says, okay, these are the different synonyms about this chemical substance. The search result already takes care of finding all documents, even though the word azoxystrobin might not be there. It might be a different name or a different identifier that might have been mentioned in the document. So the synonym search is out of the box, implicit to the user. And then on the right, you also see the chemical substance drawing, the rendering of the chemical, how it looks. We have also integrated some features about drawing the chemical substance. So chemists can come and draw the structure and then say, find me all documents which look like this chemical structure, and that's the draw button on the left top. At the bottom, what you see is the foam tree, which gives you concepts or that are from a particular domain in the ontology model. So chemical substances, right? Within chemical substance, we found 155 concepts across these documents. So user can drill in and then use that foam tree to visualize the results and also filter the documents that they want to, that of their interest to them. This UI also has some sharing capability. On the top right, you see my folders. So there users can, create a folder if they're working on a particular project. They find the documents of their interest, they tag it, and then they can share the folders with other users. And what you see on the right is some new things that we are trying, new visualization. This is still very much being tried out, where it uses clustering algorithm to cluster documents which have similar words or phrases in it. And this is something still under development. We are exploring how the users would want to use it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Balvinder. So just picking up on that last point. So yeah, this has been a bit of anything from a sort of an early proof of concept through to a bit of piloting to where we are now, which is soft launching into our R&D community for some time. But we're still very much up for exploring things with the scientists. This isn't just a trivial case of, we wrote down what we needed to do 2 years ago and now we're just cracking on with delivering it. This is a sort of more complicated area where we're trying to help scientists work out how to work with large numbers of hits and work with documents from across different points in time and different sources. Hence the interest in exploring different visualizations. So then maybe just to wrap up, where are we at? So we were setting out just to support innovation. So that's the ability maybe to join things up across different disciplines, across different parts of our R&D function, or sometimes across from external parties, external literature, whether academic or other bodies, into the R&D teams within Syngenta. So we've got through Synapse a platform that supports that. It's got millions of documents ingested, tagged, and available to this growing team that we've soft launched to, and they're already making use of it. So they're still helping us work out some tweaks that we need to make to the platform. Inevitably, with something like this that's crossing over so many information sources, we've hit some difficulties, some bumps along the road. Every now and again, we've realized, oh dear, we're going to have to go back and re-tag everything that we've ingested because we've needed to radically change some of our architecture. And we've had to slog through doing all of that. But it's taught us things about how to do that efficiently. So we've got something that is helping with individual searches. So each of those is faster than a typical legacy system would be searching. And it's searching across different silos of information. So it's much more comprehensive. The way that we can hop across different synonyms and other parts of a knowledge graph means that we can tie concepts together and therefore tie results together to give a much richer and more useful set of answers. Scientists are now doing things that they simply wouldn't have done before because it was too hard. They wouldn't spend a week doing a complicated set of searches because they just wouldn't be able to spend the time. They can spend an hour using Synapse to get some really useful things back. And how do we know that this is working? Well, probably the best example I've got is Syngenta, quite a few months ago, ran within research a little different thing, a digital innovation research project. So not an IT thing, but a piece of science R&D, but trying to tap into data. And the team wanted to dig back in time and find reports from 30 years ago or 20 years ago that might help. They did. It was quite hard work, and Balvinder and the team put quite a bit of effort into working with and bridging across some gaps in this system. But it gave the scientists some real results. They found something that was there in reports from quite a few years ago that had been parked, that gave some real innovative ideas to a project. It really helped accelerate that project. And in the last couple of weeks, that whole exercise has won Syngenta's internal science and technology prize. It's a clear recognition that this whole approach is really valuable to the scientists in R&D. So happy to take questions via chat and later on, but I'll thank you for your attention and the chance to share this with you.
Thanks a lot, Graham, and thanks a lot, Balvinder. I mean, it's amazing things to see how scientists can do things that they was not able to do before. That's impressive. Graham and Balvinder, there is a question for you, which is about there is multiple academic search engines that provide results from complex searches. Did you use them as external sources, or how did you integrate this information?
Yeah, Stefan, I was just typing my response on the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did use few academic search engines as data source, and for integrating them, we found a lot of them provide APIs, so we integrated with the APIs and built connectors for them. Some of them where it was just there were no APIs. We explored the option of scraping, web scraping. So we used a third party who provide this kind of capability for web scraping.
Okay, so Pascal, it was your question. If you want to have more, please shoot. We have time. Oh, thanks. You have done the written question, the written answer, Davinder. Or maybe I can put the end of the vote. I think for reading the 3 questions, it was enough time, and we can.
No problem. I'll end that now. There we go. For people who've joined throughout the session, if you've got any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, direct them at ourselves. We'll be doing a Q&A at the end of these sessions as well, and we'll make sure you get a full recording of the event as well, so you can refer back to that later.
Okay, so we will welcome Patrick Pensier, that is the head of data and digital, head of data and innovation at La Banque Postale Asset Management. He will speak about the ESG and SRI project. So, hello, Patrick. I'll let you share your screen and you can go.
Okay. Okay, it works.
Yes.
Do you see my screen? Yes. Okay. Okay.
We need to see.
Okay. It's okay?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay. Okay. But thank you, Stéphane. I'm Patrick Pensier, head of data, digital, and innovation at La Banque Postale Asset Management. Donc here is the agenda we will develop today with you. First of all, a quick introduction of La Banque Postale Asset Management. And we will describe you our challenges with ESG data. And after that, we share with you the solution we required to ESG data with this MarkLogic data hub, and we will describe how MarkLogic help us to prove the concept of ESG data hub. Alors, with La Banque Postale Asset Management, La Banque Postale Asset Management is part of La Banque Postale, with 100% owned by La Poste Group. We are the asset manager of La Banque Postale, and we are responsible for the savings of French clients via La Banque Postale network, and mainly for institutional investors. What makes us unique? In fact, we are a specialist of ESG. Indeed, we have 100% of our open-ended funds are SRI certified. And the decision to certify all funds was taken in 2018. And you see the key figures of La Banque Postale Asset Management, 60 billion euro asset under management, 100% SRI certified funds, and 174 employees. Our challenges with ESG data. In fact, our ESG engine is ranking about 10,000 issuers using internal model named GREAT. It's a model who rate all issuers we have in our funds. We are using external sources as Vigeo, MSCI, ETFinance. It's ESG data providers specialists. And the one topic is to add new external sources regularly to give us a better view of ESG data and a better entity coverage. It's a manner to have ESG data indicators who cover all the 10,000 issuers we have in our funds. The first challenge was deciding how to add the new data source in an agile way very quickly to try and keep or waste sources depending on data quality, data consistency, and data coverage. And our quants wants to develop new ESG models, ESG engine, and not spend their time on mapping data. It's a waste of time. Indeed, adding a new data source involves reconciliating internal entity issuer reference because all of ESG providers have their own reference, and we have to match all this reference on the right issuer in our environment. And we are in a multi-source environment. Now, to achieve this goal, we wanted to build a logical or virtual model to define a company entity with all the ESG data indicators attached, ingest a data source and expose it in this virtual model, and expose this entity via a REST API, so our quant can consume the ESG data in their engine and use it with our Datavid tools to qualify new ESG indicators. And the main benefits of using this model is the use of a new ESG data sources to enhance quickly ESG scoring engine and to faster releases, expose the logical data model at once to give this to API and Datavid tools, and enhance ESG fund rating with relevant information on issuers. The solution we provide, it's a data architecture platform with the following features. First of all, the ability to add some new source models in an easy and a quick way, regardless of the data formats, because we have multi data provider. The ability to match issuers code with different sources via dynamic mapping. As I said before, all the data provider have his own reference, and we have to match this reference exactly, but helped sometimes by fuzzy logic and probability rules. And manage a logical data model, metadata, and expose it by API, REST API, and Datavid tools. And this data architecture needs to have a search engine to enable fuzzy logic to match issuer reference and issuer name description. Create a persistent data and metadata to define a company, an issuer, and to be able to ingest and manage different data sources in one place. And use and leverage a knowledge graph to link companies together. It's a parent company information so we use it to mitigate issuer ranking with a multinational company. And provide data provenance and data lineage. And we yes, when the information gets consolidated, we can. It's very important to ensure that we can apply a security model on the data. Here is the description of the MarkLogic Data Hub technology, the generic design of MarkLogic Data Hub with 3 parts: multi-format data sources in the left, data enhancements and the middle, and after that on the right, the data usage, data enhanced usage. And let's have a look at how MarkLogic has been set up for our needs. First phase, it's to ingest ESG sources. We select 3 sources: MSCI, Vigeo, and Gaia, Finance Gaia. Phase 2, ESG indicator sources, and the third phase, reference data. It's our entities, issuers, or 10,000 issuers. And after that, in the MarkLogic Data Hub, we need to harmonize the data. And first of all, mapping by ID. It's an exact reconciliation. And after that, a dynamic reconciliation with a fuzzy logic. And with this fuzzy logic, we match around 70% of our entities. After that, we have the logical data model with an entity issuer object with ESG data indicators object, and a peer group. It's used to compare issuer between us. And after that, we need a search GUI to compare and search entities and issuers with all indicators, and we compare that in peer groups. We need also a reporting on Tableau or Power BI with using API and the REST API to connect the data hub in Python or Microsoft.NET and to set up ESG engine. We did that very quickly because the proof of value has been done in 6 time-boxed weeks. Less than 10 days development. It's very important to share with you. And now we start the project to industrialize the data hub, and we expect to deliver this project by the end of March. Yes, it's the end of my presentation.
Thanks a lot, Patrick. I see that there is some question from Pascal that is saying, how do you relate, harmonize, synchronize the structure of the API expose in your virtual logical data model? So basically, so you have multiple sources, so you harmonize it. So what do you expose? Are you exposing the logical data model and put the harmonized data inside the logical data model? Is it in this way, Patrick?
In fact, we have done this model with two main entities with entity issuers. Donc issuers is linked to our portfolios. We manage portfolios for clients, and we have around 10,000 entities. And the data sources, the ESG data sources contains approximately 2,000 ESG indicators. And the data model is built with these two entities, SG data indicators. That the problem is to match these indicators to the right entities, and the API after we match ESG indicators to entities, expose both entities and all ESG data indicators from all sources on the same issuer. We the topic is to share all the data indicators on the same issuer in one time, to have a view, full coverage of an issuer. Is to have a better rank of this issuer, better yes, a better understanding of this issuer.
So basically, what you are saying is that you have a 360 view of the issuer, so you can see all the indicator that is
exactly.
That is attached to the issuer, and those information are coming from different sources. So we take the informations, we put it, harmonize it, and put it inside this digital model, this logical model, and this logical model after is exposed for your reporting Tableau or for the REST API for people doing data scientists. I think this is answering to the question of Pascal. Do I'm right, Pascal? Patrick? Sorry.
Yes, yes, yes. It's a good, it's a good explanation. And basically, Power BI or Tableau is used firstly to check the coverage, to explore the data, and after we have a good coverage, we select the right indicators that are relevant for all entities. And after that, we can put it in the ESG engine.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Patrick, for your presentation and for the work you put to put all the things together. If you have more questions, please put it in the Slack. I'm going to take back the screen sharing and presenting the other presentations with La Vaudoise, represented by Jean-François, and our partner Ebcont, represented by Andreas Ubmer. It's up to you, Jean-François and Andreas.
Hello and welcome. Nice to see you. I'll share my screen.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Yeah, we're happy to be here with you today. We're going to present the MarkLogic Data Hub at La Vaudoise. This is another Data Hub project, as you've heard before from La Banque Postale. My name is Andreas Hubmer. I'm principal consultant and head of Ebcont Germany. I'm presenting today from Saarbrücken, which is Germany at the French border. And Jean-François, who is a senior project manager at La Vaudoise, solutions architect. He lives in France and works for La Vaudoise in Lausanne in Switzerland. Yes, let's start by introducing Ebcont and La Vaudoise. Ebcont is an IT services company focused on IT and communication. We are in Austrian private property. Here are some numbers. We've altogether more than 500 employees, more than half of them working as developers, and we are represented internationally in our head office in Austria and in other cities in Austria, as well as in Germany. And recently we started also in North America. And we are doing many projects on the Java side, also on the .NET side. And we're doing this for 20 years now. And for more than 10 years, we are already a partner of MarkLogic, and are happy to do a project together for MarkLogic, with MarkLogic. We've been doing altogether more than 50 projects based on MarkLogic, delivered them around the globe in different sectors, in insurance, as we'll hear today, in manufacturing. I was reminded of that again when we heard about Airbus with many parts that are assembled and somehow belong together in a tree structure. Also doing projects in retail and in publishing, where the XML capabilities and the full text search abilities are of great use. We have more than 40 consultants trained with MarkLogic, certified as MarkLogic developers and administrators, and of course also project managers. And we know the MarkLogic ecosystem for many years now. Yeah. Today we're going to present the VIP project. I really like the name of this project. Jean-François will then tell you what it means, and I will hand over to him to introduce Vaudoise.
Hello, this is Jean-François speaking. So, like Andreas introduced, I'm working at Vaudoise since a year and a half almost. I started as a solution architect, and I'm working as a senior project manager implementing the VIP project. So Vaudoise, for those who don't know, is an insurance company. We are selling insurance offers, and we advise also on those offers for individuals, but also self-employed and small businesses. We are 125-year-old. We have almost 2,000 employees and almost 500,000 of customers. Our services are mainly focusing on non-life insurance services, about properties, all about cars, houses, buildings, but also cats and dogs. We also provide accident insurance, health and loss of earning, but also mortgage and liability services. In the life insurance domain, we have also services for incapacity to earn or retirement or death. As you see, we are an old company. When all companies always live with many silos, many systems, many legacy systems, and most of the time very old systems. So this is why we decided to transform this organization, introducing new digital platform, replacing an old legacy system developed on IS400, and also introduce some new platforms like CRM applications, for example, or mobile applications. But to do this transformation, we had to transform ourselves and to bring in the middle this is why we call it Vaudoise Information Platform, also called sometimes Vaudoise Integration Platform, to bring the gap between the old legacy system and the new digital platform to integrate. So you can move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So this project has been initiated almost 2 years ago. And as I said, the main objective was to break silos and to bring a digital, let's say, transformation, integrating all those data silos in near real time, and also managing the data that is, let's say, harmonized and integrated in the hub using some, let's say, data mastering capabilities for matching, merging, but also some data quality control data to be, let's say, managed to provide a unified and controlled view of the data for all the different departments, and also provide to the consumers the new systems, either CRM, web and mobile application, or new legacy system, to provide controlled, governed, and accurate data services. So this is the pyramid that you can see. The foundation of the project is really this, let's say, transformation enabler, being able to move from the old legacy system to the new platform. The second layer is the data mastering, managing proper data propagation and mastering for the end users. Behind, we have a team of data stewards managing and governing the data, controlling the quality of the data ingested from the different systems. I will give you more details in the coming slides. And the final result is an operational efficiency that we want to achieve, bringing a better customer experience, having also a higher, let's say, operational efficiency. Collecting all the data from the customers brings, let's say, more understanding on the usage of the services we sell, and will give us the capability to better sell services, better fitting to the needs of our customers. So this is let's say, the final objective. Customer experience and operational efficiency for the different systems that will be consuming this data platform. Next slide, please. So we started at the beginning, and this is the learning curve. We have chosen an architecture that was not totally fitting the expectation and the requirement. At the beginning, the idea was the same, having a data hub and integrating in real time the different data sources from the organization. At this first, let's say, implementation, an NoSQL database has been chosen, MongoDB, and Kafka for the streaming. The problem that we realized when starting this implementation is that the overall architecture was too weak with regard to data transformation. Indeed, we had a very high complexity in the data to transform from the different legacy system, to transform into what we call, let's say, the canonical model or pivot model, to provide, let's say, a unified and unique view in terms of format for all, let's say, master data management entities, mainly physical person, organization, agencies, groups, and referential data. So in this initial project, we failed at the beginning because we were spending all our energy transforming the data. So this is what we call the classic, let's say, ETL job, transforming the data, but not, let's say, working on the data, making some matching, merging, cleansing, and exposition. Indeed, this was not just a simple master data management project. It was more, let's say, a transformation and integration project. And we were missing some pieces in here. We are missing strong capabilities on transformation, because Kafka was not strong enough with KSQL to make the transformation in the agile way we needed. And also the data mastering, the master data management capabilities was missing, because it's good to bring data in the hub, then you need to control it. So at the end, this is where I joined Vaudoise, and where I proposed a different alternative. We studied, like an RFP process, different options. So in the options, we had the classical approach using MDM solutions like TIBCO, Informatica, the big ones from the market. And we wanted to have a more disruptive approach, looking at MarkLogic, because it was the only, let's say, data platform providing a similar approach in the NoSQL way, having the capability to have a more, let's say, agile data modeling. And this was a key element in the selection of the solution. So at the end of the study, and with a proof of concept that has been, let's say, driven by both MarkLogic and Ebcont, we ended up to the conclusion that MarkLogic was more suitable in terms of coverage for our requirements, managing both, let's say, data transformation and integration, and also what we call master data management capabilities. And this is the project that we kind of restarted in April last year. So if we move to the next slide. This project plan is interesting with regard to the agile methodology. Indeed, when you talk about data integration, ETL, and master data management, most of the time, you follow a more, let's say, waterfall approach. Agile is not, let's say, compatible with the strict, let's say, and structured data modeling approach that you have in most of the master data management solution, or also integration hub like ESB, or system for integrating platforms. So this is, I think, this was fitting also our methodology internally to let's implement IT projects. We can move to the next slide. Thank you. This slide looks maybe a little bit complex, but I will spend some time to explain. So this is describing the overall architecture of the hub that we are implementing with the master data management capabilities. You can read the diagram from the left to the right. On the left-hand side, you have the different data sources. So you can see that we have those legacy system, ERP. This is an old IBM IS400 platform. We have in the first phase, our first consumer and also data provider, the web portal from Vaudoise, a full custom application. And we have multiple data sources coming from outside, defining referential. So we have the Swiss Post referential, defining all the Swiss Post addresses for our customers and our organization customers. We have almost 2 million records provided. We also ingest a lot of referential with Banque, like Sixt, FINMA. We have some referential from ISO, from also the Statistical Federation Office in Switzerland. So we are defining and ingesting those data as referential into the MarkLogic database. So MarkLogic is in the, let's say, purple square in the middle. So the first step is what we call the staging. In this staging, we don't transform the data. We bring it as is. So same format as what we have in the legacy system, and same format as what we have provided by the different suppliers. Once this is loaded, we use what we call the Data Hub framework. So this is the heart of the MarkLogic Data Hub. This is where we get the functionalities of the master data management capabilities that we were looking for. We also have some validation logic for controlling what is, let's say, ingested. We implemented some data quality rules for checking, again, the structure with regex, for example, the structure of the data that is ingested, imported within the Data Hub. We have some very advanced matching and merging capabilities. So, for example, the Swiss Post addresses are matched with the existing addresses that are already filled in the system from the legacy. And we are, in this way, fixing some errors in some postcodes, in some addresses, and we are improving the quality of the data sources by using these matching and merging capabilities, for example, on the Swiss Post addresses. Also comes into the hub some capabilities around the compliance, because even if we have in Switzerland, we want to be compliant with GDPR. We have some auditability requirements with FINMA and compliance globally. And we use, of course, the advantage of this MarkLogic database is the advanced search capabilities, where you can make some very, let's say, easy search on any type of data within the data structure, either from the staging, so ISO as is from the source system, or on the final database, which is the format where we are structuring the canonical model and the final database that we expose to the consumer. When we talk about harmonization, this is the MarkLogic terminology to talk about the mapping of the data. So the transformation from the data sources, from the sources into the canonical model that we implemented. So what you see now in the middle, in the final database, the cleansed and harmonized data, is a canonical model that we define for physical person, but we also do the same for organizations. And we map objects together, and we relate building blocks together, reusing elements from different entities. Once this data is, let's say, aggregated, cleansed, and controlled, because also it's a master data management solution, because we are on a master data architecture, it's kind of more complex to manage, because we need to take care of the concept of golden record, for example. In the case where some data is updated with wrong values, you need to set we have some quarantine mechanism to avoid pushing or publishing some data that is, let's say, not conform or compliant with the constraints given by the data steward and data governance team. All this data exposed is fully controlled and managed by the stewards. And we use the privileges and authorization mechanism that are, let's say, out of the box in the database to expose the data to the consumers. So the consumers are, of course, we have the main legacy system, because you need the flow back to the legacy in the case where the data has been modified. In the first phase of the project, we are implementing the integration with the web portal. This is where the agent will be viewing customer data, looking at 360-degree view of the customer. We are also developing on top of MarkLogic, this is very interesting here on Angular, data steward, the UI screen, where we maintain, we give a front end for maintaining referential data, but also a front end to manipulate and view data ingested. And we are planning to use the semantic and the capability of MarkLogic with the triple store to visually represent the data structure of the customer. Imagine that you have a customer, you will know that you have a child, families, groups, and in the future relate with contract and documents or events. So this is something that we are developing on top of MarkLogic using API, REST API connectivity to get data. And of course, for real-time integration, providing integration with other systems like CRM, we provide, as for the input, Kafka integration, providing a real-time integration between the systems. Thank you. We can move to next. This is let's say, the vision and the roadmap from the Vaudoise Data Hub. So as I said at the beginning, this first phase of the project was focusing on master data management and data mastering capabilities. So defining unique and controlled repository for customers, organization, and all, let's say, referential data at Vaudoise. This will also allow us to manage in a more, let's say, professional way the compliance with regulations, so GDPR, FINMA, and so on. And also provide to the new system, because remember that this platform has been initiated at the beginning to support a big transformation program. This solution will be providing data, customer data, referential data to the future CRM or ERP solution that is coming, let's say, in the coming month to be integrated with this platform. So this is the first step. The coming steps is a more, let's say, operational data hub approach, where we want to introduce more data coming from the legacy system, for example, claims and contract. The objective is to get a real 360-degree view of the customer, to provide a better understanding of the data globally. Remember that we have a life product and non-life product. For us, this is managed in 2 different legacy systems, and the objective is to give a unified view of the services that are provided to the customer, also providing further data coming from external data sources to enrich this model. The more data we have, more possibilities we will get to move into the data-driven organization, which is, they said, the next step for 2023 and after, to get benefits of the data that we are building, to get better understanding of our customer, providing better offers, more, let's say, adequate to the needs. Also assessing better the risk for pricing, depending on where you live. The risks are not the same for insuring your car or your house. So having a better understanding on the risk analysis for each of our customer will be highly valuable for the organization. And also having a more, let's say, data platform integrating not just Vaudoise system, but also partners and also startups. You know that in the insurance, insurtech industry, many solutions very digitalized, highly digitalized in those days, and the key is to get the value of all those, let's say, systems, either internally or externally. And we start small. Again, this first step is the foundation of the hub, the mastering with customer, organization, and referential. But we think big, improving and including more data in the hub. Also looking at the IoT and the data that we can get from our customer to improve the knowledge and to the usage of the services, and to better, let's say, price and better adapt the services to our customers. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, let me conclude our presentation with some aspects in the integrator's point of view from the Ebcont side. So this project was also started with a proof of value, as we heard before from La Banque Postale. So this is works really well for projects on MarkLogic due to the agile method, agile capabilities of MarkLogic. So it's very easy to show a lot already in a very short period of such a first proof of value. And usually for us, it's always also in a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks of development and preparation time beforehand. So of course, it's kind of natural that we recommend an agile approach for projects like this one. With MarkLogic, instead of doing ETL, extract, transform, load, you can do extract, load as is, load all the data into MarkLogic and then transform it, being able to go iteratively instead of doing a lot of transformation beforehand. What is very specific in this project that we have a mixed staffing. Usually on the customer side, there is a product owner, there is probably data architects, and with Vaudoise, we have also in the MarkLogic development team a mixture of developers from Ebcont and from Vaudoise to do some knowledge transfer and train people at Vaudoise with MarkLogic in the development, not only in operations where this is more typical, that the solution is operated by an existing business unit at the client. And I think it's interesting to look what are the unique values of MarkLogic in this VIP project. For us, it is that the technology supports the agile methodology, as we've heard already before. Then something interesting about the address matching. So we have addresses filled in by customers, and we have a catalog of addresses governed by the Swiss Post. And we are matching those to find out where people actually live and to be able to cope with renamings of streets or postal codes, things like that. And for that, we can make use of the MarkLogic search and matching capabilities really well. And in this project, also the multimodal capabilities of MarkLogic are of high use. So we ingest the documents, JSON documents into MarkLogic as they are, as we get them from the change data capture from relational source systems, and then harmonize them into the canonical data model. We use the SQL views that are built automatically on top of the canonical data model to connect Power BI and allow analysis in Power BI by people who know how to use Power BI already. We make use of the triples to model the relations between persons and organizations, and to query these relations. What are the related people, persons, contracts? The first directly related group of people, and also indirectly related people through several steps of relations. And we plan to use also the geospatial capabilities to find customers within some geo range, and to use unstructured data, like to ingest PDFs into MarkLogic and be able to search, do full text search on the text content inside the PDF. And last but not least, we're using both, we're having both transactional and analytical use cases. Transactional use cases in the master data management, then later on also for the contracts, and analytical use cases with the SQL views, ODBC, and the Power BI access. Yeah, thanks a lot for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed that.
At least I will. So I did. So thanks a lot for your presentation, Jean-François and Andreas. So we are a little bit on top of the time, but that's fine. But I think I see multiple questions, but one, it's always the same thing. So taking the example of the Swiss Post. So what are you doing with the streaming of the information? Are you pushing it and ingesting it once, or are you doing real time? So how are you doing these things?
With Swiss Post, it's a regular update. In fact, Swiss Post is updating every 2 weeks the referential. So we have scheduled a reload, automatic reload and refresh of the addresses every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So the real time is in the integration. The real time is in the integration between the system. So the legacy system, for example, the S400 is pushing in real time. Every time there is an update or a creation in the S400, the data is pushed through a CDC into the Kafka topics, which is, let's say, loading directly in real time the data in MarkLogic in the staging.
Okay. I think it's answer to the question. But please, that's what I think. But if the people that have asked the question are having more question to ask, please tell it. One question too is that as you are integrating data from operational systems, do you want to decommission the source systems, or is it still continue to live and it's just a data platform to integrate it?
It's a good question. It's depending on the system. So indeed, the objective was to decommission the old legacy system, the S400, and to replace with the new ERP platform. And some others will be a new system connecting and integrating. Also, some system will remain, but the main objective, initial objective, was to replace the legacy ERP system. And it couldn't be done as, let's say, a big bang approach, switching from the old to the new one. And this is why we need this hub to have a smooth, sustainable transition, moving different modules and services that we have in the 400 step by step.
Okay, and maybe last question is from Frank. The first one was from Brian and Pascal and Nicolas. This question is from Frank and Frank B. And he's asking how many resources are allocated to this project from dev to operational or to production.
From Ebcont side, we have a team of 15 people supporting us from all, let's say, aspects of the implementation. And on Vaudoise, I think that we have the same. And as Andreas said, we are doing kind of a joint team, and the objective is to ramp up on the solution to get some autonomy for, let's say, enhancement in the future. So we have a common, let's say, a group team for development. We also ramp up on CI/CD's specific processes, best practices in MarkLogic. So it's the overall, let's say, project where we have a kind of mirror teams from both sides, ramping up from Vaudoise, from the experience of Ebcont.
So thanks for your answer. Don't hesitate for the audience to ask more questions, and we will answer maybe at the end of the session. But now I need to move on and to present you the next presentation. So, you know, we decided to do this this event, I think at the end of November, and it was planned to do it in each country of EMEA. And paf, again, there is this pandemic, the fourth wave, the fifth wave. So there is always something is coming. And so we canceled this idea in December. And now we have, I don't know how it is in everywhere, but in France, we have an average during the last 10 days of 350,000 people infected per day. And of course, we do not have the possibility to avoid that. And unfortunately, Pierrick Léonard, the product manager of the people that I have in Airbus group for the HR systems, he caught the COVID. He's doing well, but he's really tired. So he did ask me to say, okay, I can train you and you can do the presentation. So I will replace Pierrick Léonard and do the presentation by myself. So please be kind with me, because this is not my presentation. This is an Airbus one, but I will try to do my best to present you as in a fidel way, loyalty way of what I've done, Pierrick. So I just need, I think, to change the screen. So this is the Airbus presentation. So I'm still, my name is still Stéphane Mahmoudi, and I'm replacing Pierrick. So the presentation was I mean, all this solution has been built by Airbus HR due to a specific context. So first, it's Airbus has so much people, so much data, so much parts, as you have seen with the X-bomb before, the bill of material. There is a lot of data that are generated, collected, and it's so complex to manage that. And there is a digital twin transformation in the manufacturing, but there is a digital twin digital transformation in the HR in the HR part. And Airbus is using all the skill of the people, all the data that is describing the people inside the organization, internally or externally, to be able to push those data and build new application to support their development. So the way they are doing that is basically they wanted to really go back to their challenge, which is there is a lot of things about the GDPR that was not applicable. They don't know really, as it's a point-to-point integration from the SAP systems. So who are the applications that are using the data from employees? And 5 years after, they don't know what data are used. And they want to build a new services, so new applications can be defined. And there is the IT view, which is, so basically one thing that was important for them is to move from SAP HR to a Workday. And of course, this is a migration project. And they was thinking, yes, but there is 800 interfaces that are done in SAP point-to-point to deliver data to be consumed by 130 applications. So what are we going to do about those interfaces? And the things that they have done is that they was wanted to really be able to put in place the GDPR, to have the personal information that are tagged, and we know what are the tag, the personal information, and they was wanted to have the time to market, to secure self-service, so people can come and say, I need to have this data, and this data from the HR to build my application. But of course, in a secured way, to have not too much integration one-to-one, but really to have some things where they can see what has been done, and if the application is out of order and not used anymore, that they can know what are the data that was used by this application. And one thing that we heard today a lot, they build their model of HR. They was not wanted to have a Workday HR model or an SAP HR model that are very good model for the operational things. But what they want to do is to have a simple place where they can really control their HR model and populate the data inside. So based on that, what they have done is that they think about, so our digital transformation is about data governance. What means data governance? It means that we need to have the data security on the data. We need to have a compliance, so the GDPR and all these type of things. We need to have the quality. We need to have a repository, like a data catalog, and we need to have a data policy. Who is using the data during how much times? What type of application is using the data and for what? And that's what gives the part of the data strategy. And the things after, in the part of the IT, what they wanted to have is to be able to push those data in the cloud, even if it's not done yet. They think about that, to have the performance, to be to have access to all the data, be able to do some things interface by interface and not doing all the interface in once, be able to do an agile way and have a visualization, like a big data visualizations, seeing the things from cornerstones, from SAP HR, from their typical alphabet inventory of applications, and seeing the data as an asset. And to do that, they was thinking about putting a data hub that is really concentrate all the data catalog where all is defined, and after they can consume the real data from this point of view. And for that, they put that all the things, which is they need to have the harmonization, they need to have the security model, the distribution of that, the monitoring, the data lineage, the traceability, be able to have a cartography of all the interfaces, and be able to have the quality of the data for the consumer, because the data quality is inside the operational systems, but for the consumer, they need to change the quality data. And that's what they put in action and in motion. He has done a very nice slide. I like this one. So the things about the services they have provided is that really about the data quality management. So what was the features they want to have? They want to have a KPI to be sure how much data are with the right quality. All the type of things of standardizations, be sure that they have all the data. And for them, the big things was to have a trusting data, because they need to consume trusted data with the right quality and be sure that they are using data that are okay. So and for who? For the data owner. So the data harmonizations, the same things. So if you want to harmonize data, but you want to harmonize in which view? The view was their data model, their vision of how they organize the organizations, people, skills, and so on, and be connected to the data dictionary. So this is a very important part, because this is where we put the ontology, the semantic part, and this is where they can manage the data in the way they want to manage it, and not being obliged to use a data model that is coming from the operational systems. And there on this type of things, everybody is really included, because the security officer will have his security model on that, on the data model. So what can be used or not, by who, for what. The data custodian can really do is a data catalog. The data owner can see how his data are used. And of course, the project manager can build a new project consuming those data, and the employees can be sure that we are not using their personal information. So data protection and security rules, that's everything that is put inside the data catalog. So in fact, the data security, the data model, or the rules of the security, it's done on the catalog. So you don't need to do some things on the application that consume it, because this is exactly inside the data model. And this is a contextualization. So depending of the usage, the data security will be a little bit different, because the usage is more for defense or for property, intellectual property, or this type of things. So the distribution was thinking about how can I do a self-service by delivering a batch, a real-time subscriptions with a validation process, a workflow, and they have developed on top of the hub. They have developed an applications to do the workflow, and that is managed by the security officer and the custodian. The monitoring to know where are the data that are used, and what's happened if something is going down, and all the cartography, which is very linked to that. So so it was planned to do demonstrations, and of course, we cannot do a demonstration outside the Airbus network. This is a very protected things. So Pierrick gave me the license to use a demonstration by slide. So how it is working? So this is the interface of the people that I have in Airbus, and the first things is to enrich the data inside the abstract model. So basically, there is a data catalog, and the data catalog is defining all the elements and attributes that are there with the organization, the employees. And for each attribute, they will put the level of security, the personal information, which is very specific to Airbus, putting the domain, which is the classification of the data. So it's, I think for people that are talking about semantic before, I think it's something similar. And when they have done this data catalog, when they have enriched the data, tagged the data, or the metadata, I will say, so there they can really put more and more information on each data, metadata, and there they can consume trusted HR data. So the consumption, how it is working, this is the self-service, and you want to create an interface. So the things that you're going to do is that first, you're going to choose which type of interface, if it's a batch or real time of their own systems of file transfer. But of course, if you do that, you need to say that you have there an application inventory. In Airbus, it's Alphabet. And you can select what is the application that will consume those data. Once you have done, once you have done that, you will say, what is your distribution? Do you distribute those data for using in the cloud? And what is the type of applications or API you are doing on that? So the name of the API. And there you're going to select the data you have the right to do, because when you ask for that, for the self-service, it will see who you are, what is your privilege, and there you can check all the data you have access to. So you select your information, and there you have your data that is putting there, and you will now give some information about those data, how much time you're gonna use it, so during 2 years and so on. What is for each type of information? What is the delay to not use after this data set? And there you're going to really take the data and drag and drop how you want to have it. This is a batch file as an example. So this is a column oriented. And there you ask for all these type of things. And there you go in the next steps to say, okay, those data will be used by an application, but first I will use for an integration environment, development, production, and so on. So I can put some fake data. So all the data I have talked about before was metadata. There is nothing inside. So now we can use the fake data or the real one, and there we're going to do the mapping from the real data to the metadata model. And when you have done, so you will pass through the workflow and to be able to use this trusted data. And there, this is the list of requests that the chief security officer or custodian, data custodian can have, depending of the type of the data, and they can approve or reject or ask for more information before the data are really consumed. So now the real world is, okay, I use those data, I select my metadata, I push it, I'm going in integration, in production, and now I use really the data. So I would like to know who is using the data now, or which type of application. So there, if I'm going to the data, which is the corporate ID, so this is normally a data that is really used because this is an ID. So we can see that there is 42 results, and this is all the type of application that are using this data. And all these type of application are coming from the definition we have inside Alphabet that are inside the inventory. And you can go more on it and really go on one application and see what it is and what is the type of application. Yes, I did it very quickly, more quickly probably than Pierrick. So, and like this, we are on time, but that's the end of this experience sharing. So if you have some question, I will try to answer. And if I can't, I will ask to Pierrick to answer after.
I'm just going to throw up the second poll to cover the last speakers that we have from financial services, and then Stefan's great HR presentation that he stepped into heroically at the last minute. But we'll leave that up for 5 minutes, and if you've got any questions, then please feel free to put them into the chat.
Okay, so we let you 3 minutes to answer the question, to answer the poll question. Please don't hesitate to ask your question about HR on the chat, and if I can't answer, I will forward to Pierrick, and we will continue with the final session. So I have a question, which is, does this mean that MarkLogic is going further to managing data application relationship? I mean, inside Airbus, they are managing the data and the application relationship because they have an inventory of the application. And when you say that you want to have a data, you want to consume a data for an API or for a batch, for having a file, you select what is the application that will be linked with the data. When you have done that, it's inside the model, and there, yes, you can do the link, but you need to do the action of selecting the application to relate the data that you are using. I hope I have been clear, Pascal. Yes, this is, so Pascal is saying that it's a specific work. I mean, the data hub by himself does nothing if you don't put something specific on how you want to use the data. Yes, that's really specific to the Airbus. So more 30 seconds for answering the question, and after you close the vote. Phil?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thanks. So the idea of today was really to present you what our partner, our customer are doing, because we really think that seeing what other people are doing, what are their initiatives, the challenge, or how they share their experience of what they have done is the best way for you to understand what can be done and how it can answer to your needs. And more than we really present you MarkLogic, what it is, and so on. But we wanted to finish these sessions by giving you some word about MarkLogic today, about what we are doing, and to take this opportunity to present a new technology that is coming with us. So I will share my screen, if I can. So, yeah. So basically, what is MarkLogic today? So our vision is to build a data platform to manage complex data. We go inside the concept of a data factory. I think what is important is complex data and data factory. So the complex data means it's not just a row and columns. It could be, but it's not enough. A BOM is a lot of rows and columns, but there is some documentation. There is a part definition. An MDM is taking information to do golden record. This is a complex data. And the data factory means that if you want to have a data factory, you can put all the data together and put it in a big sandbox. I think this is called data lake. But after, you need to take those data and give a context to those data. And there, this is where we are complementary to this type of technology, to really use the data for what you need to do. By what? By using the model. So today we wanted to show you how the partner network is growing, because I think it's important to present you our partner with their customer, because they know their customer. They are very proactive. I mean, Balvinder, Andreas, Yusufa, more earlier inside the presentation, they know the customer challenge in terms of IT, in terms of business, and they secure the customer project. So what we see just now with Vaudoise was a very interesting and Ebcont. So our journey in MarkLogic is now taking a different step. We continue to have our organic growth, but we are now in in an external growth way. Why? Because we are driven by technology that could be complementary to MarkLogic. So MarkLogic is the big platform, and with all the things that we have seen today. But of course, we can put things on the left, on top, and on the right to make it better. And one thing that we can say is that we have merged with a MarkLogic that is working on metadata, that is working on extraction entity, that is working on everything that you need to classify for classifying your data and use the model, which I will put more inside the first ingestion and the declaration, where MarkLogic is more to explore it, to manage the data that is inside the data hub. So, and if I want to explain that, I need to come back a little bit inside what is the challenge of consuming a data from multiple systems. The challenge is that normally you don't want to modify the existing system. So this is the first thing that our customers are saying. Multiple systems have different formats. And this is really structure, not structure, but even the formats, the structure format are not the same. The way to define the column customer, it's not the same that another sources. The consequences of putting all those formats together, all those sources of data together, means that you need to know from where is coming the data, what is the provenance, what is the lineage, the traceability I can have on the data, especially when I want to transform it and consume it. So the example of the Airbus HR taking data to consume it, so I need to know who is consuming it. And the same existing data, the same customer name in different systems is not referenced in the same way. That's why we do golden record. But it's really depending of the source systems, and after it will depend of the consumer systems. So the data quality and the security model, they are well defined normally inside the operational system. But if you consolidate all the data, where you have all those data consolidated, can you really use it? Can everybody have access to those data? Probably not. And putting the security model of the source systems inside a new data model will be something that will be very complex. So it needs to be the security and the quality of the consumer. The data needs to be searchable, because when you put data together, you don't put everything and after you see. So basically you put the data and you see what you have, you can show to the business, and this is the DevOps part. And there you can say, okay, I have this data there. I have this data inside this information. Now I can harmonize in this way. And one thing that we have seen in all the presentation today was there is a data model that is the one of the customer, and they map and they push their data inside this metadata model. And the meta model after, this model filled by the data, described by the metadata, you can query it, enrich it, and contextualize for the business values, for the various business needs. So this is the challenge, and our positioning is that we are consuming data and metadata in one central place, with the provenance, with the security, with the version of the model. And what does it mean? It means that maybe if you are a business unit on the marketing, you don't want to see the same information on the customer that if you are in the sales part, because you are not using the same data in the same context. The data management, before it is consumed, it needs to be harmonization, deduplication, golden record, reconciliation, put a business logic on that, and project all those data inside the business model entities that you will consume after. And you consume what? You consume trusted data with a REST API SQL for application that could be artificial intelligence, machine learning, or analytics, or operational application. No matter what it is, you consume the data, and after you have your application done on the right parts. So the data platform is really to build the data architecture, and it is really to serve some use case driven. So if I see the Vaudoise application, there is the phase 1, and after the phase 2, and after the phase 3. If I go back to the X-bomb part, there is the phase 1, the phase 2, the phase 3. La Banque Postale is the same things, or Syngenta is the same things. So everybody is trying to go in a multiple MVPs and growing like this, because this is the information of the transformation journey, is that the transformation is not just the tools, it's the organization and all the impact it has. So if you want to do a transformation, you need to do it by step and quickly. So speaking about this positioning, this is the MarkLogic Data Hub platform. So we load the data, we unify the data, we do the curation of the data, putting in a semantic model, expose with the security on it, and after you can do your development. I don't want to go back on that. I'm sure that a lot of people in the audience knows that, and if you don't, we can talk after. But this is basically the MarkLogic Data Hub platform that has been described all day by the customer. And the idea on that is that you have data sources, and the big thing is that we can put data inside MarkLogic, the metadata, the data itself, the geospatial information, the triple information, and everything will be indexed. And if it's indexed, you can search it and you can discover your information. So you have not done the application yet, but you know what you are loading. And after, when you do that, you do your harmonizations and so on to project it inside an entity model that will be consumed after for different type of applications. So if we take this MarkLogic Data Hub platform, so what does bring to have the smart logic on this part of the picture? Smart logic is really having the framework to extract fact concepts. So I like to explain the concepts like I like the car. I like to explain the concept by I like the Jaguar car, but Jaguar could be a car, it could be an animal, or it could be a plane. So it's depending of the context. And there, this context can be captured, and it can be enriched inside the description of the data. So that's exactly what it does there. And by doing that, you can do some classify your data in a multiple classification. So the same customer could be viewed as for the marketing, for the accounting, for the sales. The same data could be viewed in a different way depending on the context that has been defined by those two modules. So, and there we can do some machine learning and so on. So it adds to MarkLogic the part of the declaration of the metadata to drive the data inside the right model, to be able to do a clever search like Syngenta has done, or to be able to go the calculation of the X-bomb, as we have seen this at the beginning of the session in Airbus. So now that you have the model, MarkLogic can create and govern this knowledge model. And it's not just model, it's a knowledge model. So with all the concepts attached. And of course, if you can do that, you can have the visualization of the model you have, the metadata, and have the part of the life cycle of the metadata management. So this is what we wanted to present you today, and I'm not in late because we have done all the sessions. So please ask the question if you have question there. But just to summarize what we have seen today, we heard about La Banque Postale, about Vaudoise, about Airbus, very different type of initiatives. I mean, the Airbus X-bomb and Alstom are very, I think, similar. They are manipulating parts. The source information are the PLM. It's an SAP system, SAP MES for the manufacturer. Syngenta is more documentation and all the research that has been done and that ingested and classified and with taxonomy and ontology. Vaudoise is more the operational system with the existing AS400, integrating those data from the legacy systems to build a new MDM to be able to do more after. And La Banque Postale is more to creating a new product that are labeled as an ESG product. So everything that is environmental, social, governance, and the SRI, which is the real responsible investment for the things. Everything that you have seen today are based on data sources, entity model, and consumption model. Do I have some question?
Stefan, I'm just going to put up the last poll, which is about what we're going to be doing going forwards with people. So, you know, these sessions are really to help you, our partners, our customers, maximize the value, get some insight into what other people are doing, and maybe get some inspiration. So I'm just going to put up this quick poll here, and we'll use this going forwards with our next event, just to make sure that we're delivering what you would like to see. As Stefan said, if you've got any questions for any of our speakers today, please feel free to put them in the chat or jump on your camera, and yeah, we'll open up for questions.
Yeah, and I would like to thank a lot during the time that you can ask questions. I would like to thank a lot all the partner and customer, because it takes time to put some slide to present what they have done, and in a context where people maybe are not used to hear about XBOM or ESG. So really thanks you a lot. It's really your experience that was shared today more than really the product, and I think that's what was important today.